As a trade road between South Korea and Japan begins to spill over to other areas such as travels, cultural, and people-to-people exchanges, let's try to get a pulse of what the sentiment is like on the ground in Japan. Now, we've been seeking global perspectives all of this week, and joining me live today is Nagy, professor of politics and international studies at International Christian University in Tokyo. Professor Nagy, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Now, how do the average Japanese feel about Abe administration's latest string of trade measures and its spillover effects in, Japan-South Korea travels, cultural and people-to-people exchanges, as well as this surge that we're seeing in South Koreans' boycott of Japanese products? What's the general feeling there?
Well, Japan is a very diverse society in terms of its political views and how it views South Korea, and of course how businesses, Japanese businesses, view the importance of the relationship between South Korea and Japan. So we do have a diversity of thoughts. Those that are more left-leaning, they would like Prime Minister Abe to engage in South Korea to find other alternative measures to press to find bridges to build relations between the two countries. And of course, those on the conservative side see the challenges of various Korean administrations not agreeing to bilateral agreements and constantly changing the bar of agreement on whether it's the comfort women issue or the forced labor issue. And this is a challenge. So we have division in society, and it's the leadership that needs to bring those two sides together.
We've been seeing anti-whitelist rallies and No Abe protests take place in Tokyo or in Japan in the last few days. What are their key arguments? I mean, do you see this sentiment picking up momentum in Japan?
Well, at this stage, I don't think so. I think that by and large, that Japanese citizens feel what we call apology fatigue on the ground. And what I mean by that is that many Japanese feel that they have apologized enough for the imperial period, for the occupation of Korea, for the comfort women issues, and that this has been a politicized issue. Now, of course, there is an element of truth to this, but there is an element that the Japanese have not fully come to grasp with the historical past, in particular with what's happened on the Korean Peninsula. And it's these individuals that would like to see the Abe administration reach out more to South Korea and try to find a new way to bridge relations between South Korea and Japan, between two countries that should be much closer. They share liberal democratic institutions, a vibrant civil society, as well as a vibrant and generally open press. And I think that they should build the relationships based on these shared values rather than based on historical disagreements.
Mm-hmm. So we are seeing some of that in Japan. Now, Japanese local dailies have also begun to print out op-eds condemning Abe's measures and basically standing up for the spirit of free trade. How prevalent is this view within Japan?
Well, there's a realization within the business community in particular that it's very difficult to decouple the South Korean and the Japanese technological market. And when we think about something as simple as the iPhone has components that are made both from Japan and South Korea. And of course, some of those components, and you mentioned them in your lead, are used to build those sensitive microchips that go into something as simple as the iPhone. So in many ways, business leaders are seeing this as something that is not positive for bilateral economic relations, and it could have downstream consequences in terms of bifurcating or splitting supply chains, and this would not be good for South Korea or Japan. So I think the papers are recognizing this, and citizens are recognizing the potential for these challenges, and I think they're trying to push the government in different directions that may be more positive for both states.
Absolutely. I mean, there also appears to be a growing concern in Japan that Tokyo's export controls measures might eventually backfire at the Japanese economy. Like you said, are Japanese economists really concerned about this? And what kind of local industries in Japan fear the most damage from this trade dispute?
Well, at this stage, and I think if we look at the white goods that will be that South Korea will lose the preferential access to white goods over the coming months. Well, South Korea won't actually lose access to these goods, but what will happen, they'll have the same access as Singapore and Taiwan and China, which means for Japanese businesses, they'll still be able to sell these goods to those Korean businesses and Korean individuals that are interested in buying these products, but they won't have preferred treatment. And this is not good for trade, it's not good for profitability. So I think that this will dent the profits of Japanese businesses, and perhaps in the mid to long term, it will decrease the confidence of South Koreans in those Japanese buyers, not necessarily because of the buyers themselves, but because of government policy. So I think government policy needs to be fine-tuned, but it needs to be fine-tuned in collaboration and discussion with our South Korean counterparts. Without more dialogue, I think that this is not going to be a win-win. It's going to be a lose-lose for both countries.
Right. I think a dialogue is the key that I've been getting from various experts from all areas as I've been conducting these interview series this week. All right, Professor Stephen Nagy, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Have a great day.